Recording in progress.
I call this meeting to order at 4 p.m. Adoption of the agenda.
That West Elgin Council hereby adopts the regular council agenda for January 23rd, 2025 as presented.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Disclosure of any pecuniary interest. Seeing none. We go to 4, public meeting for consideration of the Fluor and Drain Engineers Report.
That West Elgin Council hereby proceed into a public meeting pursuant to the Drainage Act.
Mover, please. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried. Is Mr. Spreet on the...
He is.
Can you hear me? Your worship, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, John. Would you mind carrying on then, please?
Yeah, I don't seem to have video for some reason, but as long as you can hear me, I'll carry on.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
All right. So this is the reconsideration of the Fluor and Drain. At the last meeting, Mr. McGill indicated he was making some changes to the watershed at the upstream end. He subsequently signed a petition for a new drainage outlet that will take their water out of the old proposed Fluor and Drain that we brought previously last year to you. So what we're proposing to do is reconsider the report with the watershed adjusted. We're proposing to construct a new drain starting at County Road 9, Stalker Line, and running north through the lands of Mr. Fluor into the McMillian Drain to address surface water issues on his property from the upstream lands and from the road authority. Are there any questions, Your Worship?
I see. Any public comments on that? I'm seeing none. Council comments? No comments. No public comments. Thank you. I'll have the recommendation then, please.
The recommendation is that the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby receives the revised engineer's report for the Fluor and Drain as prepared and presented by Mr. J.M. Spreet, professional engineer, and that council authorize staff to initiate the tender process in accordance with the Drainage Act if required for the construction to the municipal drain known as the Fluor and Drain to be considered by council following the quarter revision, and that the quarter revision be scheduled for Thursday, February 27th, 2024 at 3:45 p.m. And that council consider the provisional bylaw 2025-06 as presented in the bylaw portion of the agenda for the first and second reading.
Mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, we go to 5 delegations. Okay. Could we have the resolution to be read before the delegation, please?
That in accordance with section 3.5 of bylaw 2024-05, being a bylaw to establish rules of procedures for the meetings of council, West Elgin Council hereby allow the West Elgin Community Health Center 1/2 hour, 30 minutes for item 5.1 delegation, suspending the rules of section 6.8 of bylaw 2024-05.
Okay, mover, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. 5.1. Dawn Maziak. Board Chair, West Elgin Community Health Centre. Could you give us an update, please? Oh, and David. Oh, no. You can get to that mic, or do you need to stand at the... As long as it comes through clear. Yes.
Here we go. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for having us. I'm Dawn Masiak, and I'm the board chair of the West Elgin Community Health Center.
And I am David James, and I'm the vice chair of the board, having been on the board since 2012, actually the end of 2011. So I know you know my face.
So what we wanted to do today is to bring you up to speed with where the West Elgin Community Health Center is at, kind of a current date, and we had presented to Dutton Dunwich as well. So we wanted to give you that opportunity as an overview. The other aspect is we want to talk about our role and our strategic plan, the board, and quite frankly, the community's challenges, and other information that we think that will be very, very enlightening for you. So, go ahead, Dave.
Okay. A little bit of history. We used July 1994 as our official birth date, as that was when we first started delivering services to clients. This work was done in the building in West Lawn at the southwest corner of Graham Road and Main Street. After 10 years in that location, we moved to the current building in January of 2004 with the official opening in May of that year. In February 2012, we moved some of our programs and offices next door into Heritage Homes Hub, and we celebrated our 30th anniversary in July of 2024.
Okay.
Historically, our catchment has consisted of West Elgin and Dutton Dunwich, and that's what the original letters patent say. However, our funder confirmed, not sure exactly when, but a few years ago, after the LIN had been replaced, that we were to allow clients from outside of that traditional area to apply for primary care at the community health center. So that was dictated to us by the province. The two municipalities have a combined population of about 9,000 people, encompassing 600 square kilometers in area. Although based in West Lawn, we also offer programs and services in Dutton and in Rodney, and we have a diabetes team that's based in Aylmer. Thank you.
So compared with other community health centers, we have a budget of around $7 million and 50 full-time equivalents. They are greatly helped by 70 volunteers, and together they provide great care. So we have 3,000 people who are receiving primary care and 4,000 clients that are receiving other services. So that would be health promotion, mental health, your diabetes, your kid program. So compared to other community health centers, we have fewer clients between the ages of 19 and 49 and more over the age of 50, which shouldn't be a real surprise because of our demographics. While we're not known for extreme poverty, we, as our urban counterpart, we do have low to mid incomes and a fewer with higher incomes. We also have fewer newcomers to the area, and this is different from our provincial counterparts as well. Many of our clients have numerous health and social issues, which make it a challenge for them to provide, which makes them provide a challenge for us to provide care and services. During COVID, we started to close over the noon hour. Yeah, one more.
Next slide.
And that has been very gratefully received by our staff. We also have assisted living And that's approximately 30 units or 30 individuals. That is different and unique from other community health centers. And so with that as well, we also have the Meals on Wheels, the transportation friendly visiting. So our clinical team are responsible for the assisted living, and we provide personal support workers 24/7. So we have an outstanding team.
Okay.
Mhm.
We also have many other providers offering care and services to our clients and communities, which makes this a complex organization to run. The newest program we offer is called First Five, and this was an initiative of the provincial government. And we have a nurse practitioner and a registered practical nurse who provide regular checkups and immunizations to children across Elgin who do not currently have a primary care provider. They work out of the Community Health Centre in West Lawn, and they also work out of the Southwestern Public Health Office in St. Thomas. It was a little slow getting started, but word of mouth quickly spread, and it's now becoming a very well used program. We also work with a long list of partners to bring our clients the programs and services they need. Yeah, there we see a list of partners, and I don't even think that's the exhaustive list, because there's a lot of organizations that our staff interact with to bring services to our clients. And although our name includes the words West Elgin, people from other neighbouring municipalities can access our care and services. About half of our primary care clients and a quarter of other clients are from West Elgin.
We will show you, I don't know if we can make it any bigger, the active client list by geography.
Yeah, it's the left-hand boxes are for primary care clients, and the right hand is non-primary care clients, and the ones with the red around them, that's West Elgin numbers. So 1,510 primary care clients are from either Rodney or West Lawn, or from the municipality. And then we have another 1,143 clients who access other programs. And then you can see the numbers for Dutton Dunwich, for Elgin County, including St. Thomas and Aylmer. Aylmer, of course, the numbers include the diabetes teams. And then we've got clients from Chatham, Ridgetown, and then Middlesex County, including Glencoe, Newbury, Wardsville. Even London. So that's the active client list. What we would particularly like to bring your attention to is the clinical wait list, including by geography. We're short at the moment one nurse practitioner, so we have 3 doctors and 3 nurse practitioners. So we have a vacancy for a nurse practitioner. The people on the client list, and this is of note, as of November the 8th last year, we had 423 people on the client list. The number's going up all the time. But that includes 62 people from Middlesex, 177 people from Chatham, 31 from Elgin, beyond our 2 municipalities. So it's no secret that people are struggling to find primary care right across the province. So the fact that we still have an active wait list means that we get applications from beyond our 2 municipalities. So right now, a wait list of 400, and we're doing a 400 plus, and we're doing everything we can to get that down to 0. Our teams are taking more on, and we would hope that those 400 people will have a primary care provider within the next 12 to 18 months. However, and this is a very big however, Dr. Gregor has indicated once again that he is going to retire. He said it before and then reneged. It's more likely that he might retire this year. And I suspect that the council are aware of the meeting in Dutton Dunwich last week in which they were discussing the future of their medical centre. Our understanding is they do have an agreement to continue the medical centre for the next 2 years. Beyond that time, that medical centre and its future is somewhat in doubt. If, and it's an if, Dr. Grigor retires, and if the Dutton Medical Centre doesn't continue, that wait list of 400 or 400 to 500 people would balloon probably to something like 4,000. And that's one of the main messages that we want to bring to this council, because that's a huge hit, not just for us, that's a huge hit for the municipality. To have 4,000 people in your municipality or next door in Dutton Dunwich without primary care. And FYI, we had a 1-hour meeting on Friday with our MPP to talk about this. He's sympathetic but not encouraging. So as I say, that's one of the big issues that we have on our long-term view of what we're doing.
So the board's role, we have a chair and vice chair, a secretary, treasurer, and we have the committee of the whole, finance, governance, and we also have a client and family advisory council. And recently in the last year, fundraising, which would never happened before. And the community has been wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Our strategic plan, small print, but really it's about reimagine, reconnect, and redesign. Those key pillars are going to be very hard to achieve if we were to have that type of balloon in our wait list. Our vision is vibrant and caring communities, people, and workplaces. Our mission, partnering with our communities to achieve the best health and well-being for all. And I think that this is a really important slide because we want to partner closer with council in order to achieve more. And so our values are compassion, excellence, collaboration, accountability, respect, and equity. Quite similar to your own. Our strategic directions is to reimagine how our care and services improve equitable health and well-being outcomes. Again, that might be challenging. Reconnect with our team to co-create a meaningful health and compassionate workplace. Redesign a stronger healthcare system in collaboration with our partners. Our Elgin primary care partners, we held a joint meeting with the boards of Central CHC and East Elgin and Thames Valley Family Health Team in December 2019, May 2021, November 2023. And the senior leaders meet monthly to discuss Elgin-wide concerns. So we do have that umbrella and those relationships. So the Elgin Ontario Health Team, they have 3 sponsoring agencies: Central, which is in St. Thomas, West Elgin Community Health Center, and St. Thomas Elgin General Hospital. Deanna Hugert is the ED. She was hired in March 2022. And the initial target populations are seniors, respiratory health, including COPD. So the board and the community challenges. When does it work?
Catch up with the notes here.
Okay, so I'll do the challenges. So our big challenges is the health, human resources. We got, okay, lack of space to service clients living in Rodney. It's the increase in unattached clients, lack of base funding to address wage disparity and operations to keep the lights on, and the imminent retirement of aging local physicians.
The human resource recruitment and retention. I imagine council is aware of the petition that we rolled out at the two local fairs, Rodney and Wallerstown. I spent many hours sitting at the table, and Richard knows me. I'm not shy. Nobody got past our table without, would you sign our petition? Okay, which is an intro, because that immediately brings a response. Well, what petition? What's it about? Which of course is the door that I want to be open so that I can talk. What's of note? We got a total of about 800 signatures, and I think I was probably responsible for half of those. Of all the people I spoke to, I only had one person refuse to sign the petition. And that person just said, I don't sign any petitions. So it wasn't they had anything against our petition. I don't sign petitions. I actually had another fellow in Wallerstown who, when I tried to get him to sign, no, and walked on by. And he walked by 2 more times. And finally, he looks down at me, he says, I signed in Rodney.
Probably got him.
But what was really of note was when the petition was about the wage gap. I mean, the fact and one of the numbers that really stands out is that a nurse working in London gets $28,000 a year more than a nurse working at the health center. That's one heck of a lot of money. Are you going to hang around here if you can get $28,000 a year more working in London? And that's not, I mean, some people point out that, well, yes, but if you're working in a hospital and you might, you're working shift work and more stress, and there's some truth in that, but not $28,000 worth. No way. And the average response when we brought that number up was absolute anger. People in this municipality were angry that the workers at our health center are not being properly paid.
Unfortunately, if you don't mind me just saying, you're being used as a training ground.
We know that.
And
Yep.
unfortunately, that's the way it is. Until you get more funding to be able to bring
Yep.
them off, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, we're making progress. It was one of the best things that I'm not a fan of our premier, but he certainly made the right move when he hired Dr. Philpott to join his team, because her vision of good primary health care is exactly what we deliver at a community health center. So we believe we have an ally within the ministry now. But Doug Ford made it very clear there will be no new money for healthcare. What there may be is a reallocation of funds. So recruitment and retention is a big issue. We've got a place where people like to work. So retention is not as much of an issue as recruitment. But there's only so much people are going to take. As I think you're aware, we lost our 2 mental health counselors a year ago. Fortunately, we've been able to replace them. They had both been with us for more than 10 years. Neither one of them wanted to leave, but they couldn't afford to stay. They've both got young families. They both got mortgages. One lived in Chatham, one lived in London. They got jobs. In the case of Chatham, walking distance from his house for an immediate 30% pay increase. And the same for Mel, who was in London. She got a 30% pay increase. Mel was in tears. She did not want to leave, but couldn't afford to stay. So, I mean, it's a huge issue.
The other thing with Health Human Resources is that the CHC seems to attract a lot of new grads. And once they've been trained up, they leave. Our staff are not compensated for that mentorship and preceptor and that training. So we are pursuing what does an academic primary care center look like? And we have brought that up to the MPP as well.
Mhm.
So 85% of our budget is for salary and benefits and 15% is for everything else. So if you can imagine 15% just to keep the lights on and how the inflation has increased 40% overall, it's really, really quite substantial.
An example of the lack of consideration by our funders, a few years back, we switched to electronic medical records. We were directed to. We didn't have a choice. Well, if you've been doing things, writing it down on forms, and you switch to electronic, you've got to buy a whole bunch of computers. You've got to buy a whole bunch of software for the programs. You've got to train your staff. We ask our funder, well, can we get some funds to help us with these costs? No, you find the money. You know, one of the things that we are concerned about that could be happening is, I mean, as Andy was saying to Dawn and I earlier, we're not going away. The community health center is not going to close. But what may happen is that we may have to start reducing the services we provide to emphasize more primary care. And those services are critical. I mean, the programs for seniors, the programs for children are well attended and are a great benefit to the community. And those will be the first ones to go if we're not properly funded. So that is an ongoing concern for the future. And we contract out for our IT services and for insurance, and those costs are going up all the time. The other advocacy effort is from our provincial association, the Alliance, and they're lobbying at a provincial level, province-wide, but they're also encouraging us to do it locally. And we're hoping that other CHCs will follow our lead and be talking to their own MPPs, because the more lobbying we do, the more noise we create, the better chance we have of the word getting through. And we're hoping that council members, and I know that you were well represented at Roma this past weekend, we're hoping that council members will use every possible opportunity to lobby on our behalf as well.
So if we could just move to slide partnering with Roma. So we are aware, and Andy has had the pleasure of going to the conference last week, and I have spoken with the past chair, who's now the chair of AMHO, and they were very, very supportive of our predicament. And last year they did write the fill the gaps closer to home. So they recognize, and this is one of their 3 pillars, with the other pillar being homelessness. They encouraged us to invite Dr. Jane Philpott to come down and to have all of the other rural health centers and family health teams as part of this type of a dialogue in order to stimulate the motivation at that political level.
Yep, and we're hopeful we can achieve that.
Mhm.
Finally, our last section will focus on some of the other information that may be of interest. 8 Chronicle articles by Larry Schneider. He's useful having a journalist on the board. He doesn't need much encouragement to write articles on our behalf. We put together a 30th anniversary video, updated our program brochures for full fairs and community presentations. We're on Facebook. And we had tables at both fairs, as mentioned earlier, and we participate in the West Lawn Santa Claus Parade every year. In closing, just a reminder that our website is a great resource for general information. Our strategic plan is there, and a lot of other information as well, including a calendar of events. And besides Facebook, we're also on Instagram and Blue Sky. I'm not tech savvy, so I have no idea what Blue Sky is, but I guess we're on it. So, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to address council. We have had the pleasure of having Richard on our board in the past. Should council think they might benefit, or we might benefit from a greater presence from council, we do have a vacancy on the board right now. So if any member of council wants to volunteer to join our board, we would be only too happy to welcome them and to strengthen the bond between council and the health centre. So thank you very much for giving us your time
Thank you for
today.
the opportunity.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that. And you're really fighting an uphill battle, unfortunately. But unless you get the people to come in and actually see that these rural places aren't getting treated quite like, the cities, as until they realise that, I don't think you're going to get more funding. So we just got to keep on at them all the time. And if you could get them down to have a look what we've got, the doctor that's going to retire or may retire, before you can replace a doctor like that, you really have to have a firm date.
Yeah.
For the simple reason, it's a serious thing to go out and get another one if you can.
Yeah.
And you can't have a pool of doctors waiting to come.
And
So
the reality as well is that most family physicians that are graduating or that are the younger ones do not like to be in a sole practitioner practice. They don't like being the only person. So if we could get funding for another doc at the health center, it's easier to attract somebody into the health center because they've got a whole team of people around them. They just have to show up to work. They've got an office. They've got nurses there. They've got receptionists. The whole staff are there. Much easier to recruit. It will be difficult to find someone to replace. Maybe Dr. Gregor's got somebody in mind. Who knows? But it will be difficult to replace him.
your numbers really show that you need it.
Yeah.
You need that extra.
Yep.
Council, any comments, please? Yeah. Councillor Denny.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair. David, Don, thank you so much for this really great presentation to bring us up to date with the challenges that we as a community are all going through. Somebody said to me not too long ago that from the health center perspective, it's just the doctors and the nurse practitioners that'll be remembered for all their good work, but I don't believe that to be true, Andy. I think that you two, your board, and especially Andy, the work that you have done for our community will always be remembered and certainly appreciated. I'm gathering this is not a West Elgin Community Health Center issue. This is a community health center across Ontario issue.
Yes.
Have you done any work or research to see what other health centers are doing across the province to address this issue and to generate alternative streams of revenue?
Well, we've been kind of leading the way when it comes to individual CHCs. We're fortunate to have a board with some very competent people. I mean, Dawn's a healthcare professional. Believe it or not, a little bit of history. Dawn was one of the very first employees
Yeah.
at the West Elgin Community Health Centre 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So she's come back to us. But the Alliance, which is the umbrella organization, they're lobbying at a provincial level. I'm not sure they're as effective as we would like them to be, which is part of the reason we're reaching out to Roma. And the Alliance does have a committee especially established to look at rural and northern areas that are particularly underserviced. But as Rob Flack said on Friday, there's no new money. I mean, some of the statistics. When Bill Davis was in power, the provincial Ministry of Health had a minister, a deputy minister, and 2 assistant deputy ministers. When Doug Ford took over, there were 22 assistant deputy ministers, typically pulling in salaries of 500,000 or more a year. 22 assistant deputy ministers. We don't need 22 assistant deputy ministers. That's bureaucracy. Take that money and fund frontline health workers. Fighting an uphill battle, yeah. And it was Rob Flack who made that point. He agrees that there is much too much fat. There's much too much bureaucracy within the ministry, but cutting it back is an uphill battle. But we are. The board actually for my birthday, which was celebrated last December, gave me a plaque. It says Grumpy Old Man Road. So I'm not going away.
Anyone else? Well, thank you very much anyway.
Thank you.
We can see what you're going through.
Thank you, Rick.
And I'm sure if we can help in any way, we certainly would.
Yeah, and we'll keep the lines of communication open. And should you be able to twist the arms of any of your councillors to join our board.
That was well noted.
We would welcome.
Through the speaker, what exactly would the board position look like? Like, what are you, because we obviously are recorded and people will listen to it as well. So if a council member is unfortunately not able to step up, is there a gap in your board right now that you're looking to fill with this position?
Our bylaw, which was amended at the last annual general meeting, requires us to have a board of a minimum of 5 and a maximum of is it 9 or 11, Andy? Right, yeah. I think we have a maximum of 9 on the board. So we are in compliance with our bylaw because we have a range as far as that's concerned. But I just recruited another individual to join the board, somebody as well with a lot of talent who will bring good strengths to the board. And we are losing, as a board member, you are permitted to serve 3 2-year terms, and then you have to step down. So I did my 6 years, starting from 2012, stepped off the board, and then got a phone call. David, come back. So I'm back on the board. Doing my second, I've now done another 4 years on the board. One of our current members has done his 6 years and will be stepping down in June when we have our annual general meeting. So we have a couple of vacancies, and people ask me, well, what's involved on being on the board? I typically tell people you should expect that it's going to take 10 hours a month of your time. It can take as much as you want. If you want to, it's like working on council.
Board packages.
Yeah, if you want to work more than that, if you want to be a committee member as well as on the board, then you can put in more than 10 hours. But 10 hours a month is probably what is required. And for first-year board members, we try not to inundate them with extra duties. Give them a chance to get up to speed, and because there's a lot to learn.
I meant more specifically like fundraising or government relations. Like, is there a gap like that that has been identified by the board of a skill set that you would like to recruit to the board?
Fundraising committee is, and I should point out, we do not think it's appropriate to fundraise for salaries for our staff. I don't think people in the community would expect us to do that. So the fundraising we've been doing is for the programs. And the first that came to our attention was that staff run a number of programs for young people, teaching them how to cook. And they're very popular programs. But they've got a limited budget. And the cost of food had gone up to the point where they could not provide enough resources to fill the program. So we got the staff to do it, but they couldn't afford to buy the food to do it. So we put out a call for fundraising. Some of the service clubs locally stepped up and filled the gap so that we have enough money to be able to buy the food to run those programs to their full capacity. So the fundraising is primarily for support of our programs, and it could be seniors programs, it could be as I say, the youth and children programs as well. But the board itself, Dawn, myself, Nick Wells, who's a local Anglican minister, and Larry Schneider, our MPP knows us, all of us, personally. And when we met him on Friday, we said, we're going to be back. So our intent is to meet with him a minimum of twice a year, and perhaps more than that, to push and present.
Okay, thank you very much.
you.
We're starting to run over a little bit, so
Yep.
we have
Okay,
to
Richard.
move on. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll move on to 5.2, which is Doug Aldred. And a review of council ward systems. Yeah, muzzle sit. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you, Richard. And I'd like to thank council for giving our delegation an opportunity to present this to you. I guess I'll kind of start off by reading over the brief thing I sent in and elaborate on it as I go. So we as residents of West Elgin would like to take this opportunity to bring a petition forward for consideration to move away from a ward system of councillors to a council comprised of a mayor and 4 councillors at large. West Elgin is comprised of the former township of Aldborough, the village of Rodney, and the village of West Lorne. In 1994, the township of Aldborough and the village of Rodney amalgamated to form an expanded township of Aldborough. The present-day municipality of West Elgin was established on January 1st, 1998 through amalgamation of the expanded township of Aldborough and the village of West Lorne. It was a decision at that time to form 3 wards, allowing for representatives on council from Rodney, West Lorne, and Aldborough Township. This structure of council makeup was well suited at the time, as local municipalities wanted to keep local representation. But today, over 25 years later since the start of amalgamation, decisions of council are indeed West Elgin decisions, with the interest decisions being executed using West Elgin dollars as one with an interest for all of West Elgin. And I guess I sat on the council from 2010 to 2014. And actually, 3 of the council members of that term are sitting in this room today. And we found out when we were on that term, we were ward councillors, but we were getting called from everybody in the municipality. You weren't just representing the ward, you were representing the whole of West Elgin. So, and actually in that time period, I did bring the idea to council about switching from the ward system to this system. The answer was it's too late. It's too close to election. And I looked up the process, and that indeed was the answer, because this is not something you do over time. There's a little bit of time needed to change this process of the way we do our elections. Then last summer, we run a roadside sweet corn stand and maple syrup business. So I have a lot of people come in and out of our laneway. Some of them once or twice a year, some of them several times a year. And when I was on council, somebody told me, you won't realize this now, but once you've been a councillor, people are going to think you know how to run the municipality for the rest of your life. Well, I'm beginning to realize that now, because somebody's always wanting to bend my ear for something. But one lady last summer, she said to me at the sweet corn stand, she says, you know, I've lived in this municipality for 13 years, and I've had one opportunity to vote for a councillor. Well, that kind of spurred my thoughts of what I thought about 10 or 12 years ago, you know. There's got to be a way to make this system better, so people are at least getting an opportunity to vote. So I went on the computer and I started digging up some facts and thoughts to try and see what I could come up with. And I got facts from the 2021 census, which said that West Elgin had approximately 2,100 dwellings with approximate population of 5,100, with approximately 80% of that population as eligible voters. So then I went on the election stats thing, and there was 2 or 3 sources there to get stats, which varied slightly, but it was mainly percentiles out on the numbers. So I kind of took an average of the numbers. In the 2010 election, we had approximately a 42% voter turnout. 2014, we had approximately a 30% voter turnout. We got to 2018, we had approximately 21% voter turnout. In our last election, where we had a mayor, a deputy mayor, and 2 council positions acclaimed, it's resulted in an election at only Ward 1 with 344 votes cast, which figures out to approximately 7% of the eligible voters having any influence on the selection of our council. This shows progressively falling interest in voter turnout for varying reasons. One of them being the younger generation do not seem to want to get involved or interest in politics. When you look back at my other point there, where we haven't had an election, like people haven't had a chance to vote in some wards for only once in 13 years. You stop and think of that. We have kids that were 17, 18 years old at that time who are now in their early 30s who have had one chance to vote for a council member. So it's no wonder their interest is waning and they're not interested. They're not getting a chance. So that was like originally when I brought the idea up, it was because, you know, we were representing the whole township. We're not just ward councillors. But then when I started going through this, other things started to pop out at me. The fact that people are not getting an opportunity to vote. Changing from the ward system is no guarantee that they're gonna still get an opportunity to vote. We could get only 4 people put their name in for council, 1 person for a mayor. We could still have an acclaimed council. But I guess looking back at the 2 times this council has had to fill a position in this term, there's been quite a bit of interest shown both times, which makes me think that come next election, there's probably going to be a fairly good interest in people wanting to maybe try a position at council. So that brings us to our idea that we're proposing the council consist of mayor and 4 councillors, with the council receiving the most votes, assuming the chair of deputy mayor is a logical idea. And if you look back on the records, before we became amalgamated, a lot of municipalities did use this process for selecting their council. So it's not a complete new idea. So this should, hopefully this idea will give people the opportunity to be involved because they'll have an opportunity to vote. it should give us probably the best council we can get, because in certain situations with the ward system, you'll have three councillors running in one ward who may all be excellent candidates. In another ward, you'll have maybe weaker councillors running. Two of those excellent candidates that had their name in are automatically eliminated. Where as West Elgin residents, I think our goal and ambition is probably to have the best representation on council of all the people that are interested in being part of council. So if you go to the ward system, whether it's 5 people that run or 10 people that run for mayor, the whole municipality is going to have the opportunity to vote whether they do or not. And you should get what is the whole population figures is the best council available. Also, the group of us put together, we figure since you're running basically one election, instead of 3 wards, you'll have 1 voters list. So probably would be a cheaper election to run than what we presently run. I don't know about that for sure. It's just theory, but. What else? There was one other point I was going to bring up. It's kind of slipped my mind right now. So anyway, I guess on our conclusion, we mayor and 4 councillor large system should benefit strongest council representative available with the greatest voter interest and turnout possible. So that's kind of my overview. I guess, has anyone got any questions at this time?
That's what I was just gonna ask. Questions from council? Yes. Deputy Mayor, please.
Through the chair, thank you. Duke, thank you for coming out. We had discussed at the beginning of the term, and then fortunately lots of things happened. I think we discussed 2 weeks ago about moving and different ideas for election. This would be the time to look at it, just amongst ourselves, not in council, or just the mayor and I meant to say. But having had to run 2 elections, the devil's advocate side of that is being the last one that only was not appointed in the last election in 2021. Or 2022, sorry. It was $2,000 to run my very small election. So I would have to triple that when someone's running to run then the whole area. So people think of that. And then when we also had people that were looking to be appointed in our open positions, one of my questions to them was, why now? Why are you running now? And they said, well, I don't have to run an election. So that's why they felt that they had interest then versus when we had our election process and they didn't put their names in, that it was less costly to run for the appointments versus an entire election. I love the idea of not having wards. I think that's a great idea. Like I said, we'd already kind of talked about it briefly. I just think that's great that you brought this at this time. Like you said, it's timely. It's a great time to do it. And if we could bring a report back and see exactly what the cost savings would be or what that looks like from staff, that would be great. I see that's in our recommendation still, but I support bringing a report back for that. So thank you for your time and bringing all that information in, and all of you to support Duke in coming today as a delegation.
Any more comments? More comments?
Okay, I agree with you, Teresa. I did look at that and wonder if some of those people did not put their name in just because they thought it would be a cheaper ride to get on council. That idea did cross my mind.
Through the chair again, yeah, the cost from when I ran in 2018 versus this time, I think my signs, I didn't get very many signs, I only got I think 60. But the first time I ran, I think I got triple that. But the costs went up. I want to say it was 52% or something for my signs. And I had to get them out of town. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to support locally because I just didn't have the means. So there's something to think about there too.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'd like to see West Elgin staff bring back a report to council.
Okay.
And then we'll see.
So I read up in the process, and part of the process is, as a delegation to bring this, it says that we have to bring a petition forward with names on it to present to you. Has to have at least 1% of the voters list on it, which works out to somewhere between 50 and 60 from what I figured. So between myself and some of the people behind me here and some others who aren't here, we have went through this process. We made up a petition and we've got some signatures and we brought it in. And I will read the petition, what's on the petition off to you. It says petition to the council municipality, municipality of West Elgin. Whereas we, the undersigned, do hereby petition West Elgin Council to enact a bylaw in accordance with the Municipal Act 2001, Section 223, subsection 1, to dissolve the ward system for municipal elections in 2026 and all future elections, allowing for one mayor and 4 council positions elected at large, with the council receiving the most number of votes to be chosen as deputy mayor. And on these 14 sheets, I think I have 175 names. So I don't know who I present this paper on to, but
I would suggest that our clerk, please.
okay. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to bring this in and listening to us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So could I have that recommendation, please?
Recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receive the delegation from Duke Aldrich, West Elgin resident, regarding review of the council ward system, and that West Elgin Council request staff to prepare a report for council detailing the procedures to eliminate the 3-ward system within the municipality.
Vote, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you very much. We're going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, we'll resume the meeting and adoption of the minutes.
The West Elgin Council hereby adopts the minutes of January 9th, 2025 as presented.
Move it, please. Councillor Denning, seconder. Councillor Doherty, all in favour? It's carried, thank you. Committee and board minutes. Everybody had a chance to read? Yes, please.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby acknowledge receipt of the minutes of the Bo Horvath Community Center Board of Management, November 6th and December 11th, 2024, and the Economic Development Committee, November 6th, November 25th, and December 9th, 2024, and the Recreation Committee, November 27th, 2024, as presented.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? It's carried. Business arising from the minutes. Seeing none. Staff reports. Operations and community services. Mr. Gosling? Got anything? Not at that, on that?
No, I think everybody's had a chance to read it. If
Yeah.
there's any questions, I can answer.
Any comments from council? Can I have the recommendation, please?
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Lee Gosnell, Manager of Operations and Community Services, for information purposes.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty. All in favour? It's carried, thank you. Corporate services and finance. Intact municipal climate resiliency grants. Magda, please.
Good evening, Council. So this is just more for information. However, I'm asking Council for a resolution as well, as staff is planning on applying for grant that is available through Intact Insurance. There is approximately $2 million available to fund flooding issues with municipality. The application that we are planning on submitting will contain information on our struggles, our several flooding events that we have experienced in the past, as well as high-level plan of what we are planning on doing if the application is approved. So what we are proposing is to have an engineer, hire an engineer that could go door to door to residents' homes that have been impacted by flooding and make an assessment of their property, check their grading, check whether the property has a backflow preventer. And then perhaps offer some kind of project cost assistance. So we're not able to, cover the full cost of the project. However, the idea is to provide our residents with some kind of incentive that will kind of motivate them to do something with their property. And that money also will be used for proper communication. So the plan is to educate our residents as much as we can on what they can do and about the project itself.
Did they want somebody to advise them? Advise the property owners?
So the idea is to, once the grant money is available, we will be communicating with residents about the program. The residents will be required to contact municipality if they are interested. And then basically, we don't know how many residents will come forward. However, residents will be treated on first come, first serve basis.
So it's not going to cost us an absolute fortune?
At this point, we don't know. The idea is that, to receive the funding and use the money from the grant application towards that project.
Okay, thank you. Any more comments? No, seeing none. Could I have the recommendation, please?
The West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from M. Badura, Manager of Corporate Services, Treasurer, regarding Intact Municipal Climate Resiliency Grant, and that West Elgin Council endorsed the application for a flood resiliency project to the Intact Municipal Climate Resiliency Grant Program.
Okay, mover, please. Councillor Denning, seconded. Deputy Mayor Tellier, all in favour? Carried. Notice of motion. Oh, committee and board reports and updates. Then we go to notice of motion. Okay, so we move on to council inquiries and announcements. 11.1, update from Roma. Who wants to start?
I was about to ask Councillor Denning or Deputy Mayor Mayor, do you have any comments you'd like to bring from yours, or did you want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. So the four of us did attend the Roma conference this past weekend. I found that the atmosphere was quite positive. There were a lot of ministers in attendance. May speak to sort of the political climate right now and maybe of days to come. But that did provide an opportunity for lots of ears to listen to what I guess the issues and concerns of rural communities. This delegation did move forward and present a delegation to emphasize the fact of rural municipalities being challenged with both upgrading and maintaining its current infrastructure, but then also the challenge of trying to expand and invest in infrastructure that would support growth within our community. I don't think that is a different song than many other rural communities are speaking of, but it certainly had added our voice.
Thank you. Councillor Denny, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through the chair, and thank you, Robin, for that. And I suppose just to piggyback on what Robin has just said, yes, I have no doubt that many hundreds of municipalities across the province of Ontario were there, like us, with our hands out looking for money. What we tried to do in our delegation with the Minister of Agricultural and their team was to differentiate West Elgin from the herd. We exemplified to them that we are in a very unique position to be able to help the province of Ontario meet their affordable housing goals. We have 1,600 lots ready to go essentially within our existing Rodney and West Lorne village settlements for building, which means that we are in a position to be able to grow not only what we already have in pre-consultation right now and what's in the works, but 1,600 additional homes, which means another square foot of agricultural land would need to be used in order to help the province of Ontario. So we really hammered down on the fact that we are in one of those unique municipalities that should be seriously considered at the top of the list for infrastructure grant money, particularly sanitary sewer money, so that if we did grow beyond what we have right now, we're going to need a lot of help to be able to accommodate that growth with expanding our lagoon systems.
Yes, okay. What I must say, because I was there, is the way that Councillor Denning and Deputy Mayor Tellier put it over, and it came over really well. I can say they made a really good presentation, and I was watching their heads, and there was a lot of nodding going on, and a lot of writing too. So I know the way they put it, it came over really well, and thank you very much for guiding us, you know, to start, and when we just added little bits in between, and I think it was a good presentation. We couldn't do any better than what we did. Okay, Deputy Mayor Tellier.
Thank you, and through the chair, I won't go over what we did with the minister because you've covered that, our CAO and Councillor Denning. So attending some of the workshops that we went to and learned and networking and different things, a lot on infrastructure, as we've just already said. Kind of sounds like we're saying the same thing, because we are not unique, as Councillor Denning said. Everybody is looking to do infrastructure in our small municipalities. A lot of things on healthcare, as we heard from our West Elgin Community Health Center today about, we had workshops on how to have healthcare and have that networking in small rural communities and to fill those gaps without the funding that we have. And it seems to all go to the urban cities. And what else did we attend? A great workshop that Councillor Denning and myself attended was in regards to dealing with the climate right now, of safety for our staff, safety for ourselves, and just what that looks like, and some tools that we can have in our toolbox when people are having a rough time with some decisions or rough time with something that's going on with the municipalities, and how to approach and deal with that. So just really, really interesting. I'm just touching on like 3 of the workshops I went to, but and on top of that, so much networking. People seemed to be so open to go, where are you from? More so than the other times I've gone, and discuss, hey, we're dealing with this. What are you dealing with your area? And then you carry on, the workshop would start. But it was really, really interesting to see that networking and people passing out their cards. It seemed more so than normal. So to see what other people are working on their projects, maybe you can get ideas from other municipalities, what they're doing, and look at that as well and work with each other. So it was a great, great, great conference, I believe. Well worth it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I did go to one about Indigenous people, and their main cry was for us to go out and go to the reservations and introduce ourselves, and that was their main cry. Do that, and maybe it'll bring us slowly closer together. But that was the gist of what I got. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
'May I do one further? Yes. May I do one further? 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 May I do one f Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair. Just a final announcement. Many in our community are aware that early last week, we received notice that the Bank of Montreal here in West Lorne has announced that they will be closing their West Lorne branch in July. There is a public meeting coming up in February where clients of BMO have been invited to be a part of that. Council has certainly heard from the many community members that are going to be impacted by this. And I just want to give a little report on what we have done thus far in response to this sad news. A phone call has been made to the regional manager of BMO with the hopes that we can get together before the public consultation, Mayor Leatham and myself, to discuss the impact that this decision has made to our community and just work our way through that. In the meantime, in conjunction with that discussion, I have been reaching out to some agencies, some partners, and some different financial institutions, including several credit unions, to see if there might be any interest in credit union expansion into our community. It would seem that when the big banks pull out of small communities, a lot of times credit unions do fill that gap. So through an organization that I work with that partners with, I think 40 or 50 credit unions, the word has gone out to all of them about how wonderful West Lorne is and how it would be a wonderful opportunity for a financial institution to come. So I just thought that I would let everybody know that that's where we're at. And hopefully there will be more information and hopefully some positive news will come out of this sad announcement that we all heard last week. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. So we go to 12, correspondence.
The recommendation is that West Elgin Council hereby receives and files all correspondence not otherwise dealt with.
Move, please. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? Carried, thank you. So we go to 13. Items requiring council consideration. Meeting start time amendment, March 13th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, this is just another to move the start time to 5:00 p.m. on March 13th to accommodate staff being at leadership training. Was there any questions or concerns?
Any comments?
The recommendation is that the start time for the Thursday, March 13th, 2025 be amended to 5:00 p.m. to accommodate staff leadership training.
Good. Deputy Mayor Telly, as a mover, seconded. Councillor Doherty. All in favour? It's carried, thank you. 13.2, provincial land tax.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this was this is one that has been circulating quite a bit through many municipalities. When Councillor Doherty did mention to have this on. So normally we would do a letter of support but however, with it being circulated so many times, it's hard to support just one letter. So in this instance, I put the recommendation on there. Prior to reading the recommendation, is there any discussion that council?
No.
Okay. The recommendation is where municipalities face growing infrastructure needs, including roads, bridges, public transit, water systems, and other critical services, which are essential to community well-being and economic development. And whereas the current sources of municipal revenue, including property taxes and user fees, are insufficient to meet these increasing demands for infrastructure investment. And whereas the province of Ontario currently collects the land transfer tax on property transactions in municipalities across the province, generating significant revenue that is not directly shared with municipalities. And whereas the federal government collects the goods and service tax, GST, on property transactions, a portion of which could be directed to municipalities to address local infrastructure needs. And whereas redistributing a portion of the provincial land transfer tax and GST to municipalities would provide a predictable and sustainable source of funding for local infrastructure projects without creating a new tax burden on residents and home buyers. And whereas a redistribution of a portion of the existing land transfer tax and GST would allow municipalities to better plan and invest in long-term infrastructure initiatives, supporting local economic growth and improving the quality of life for residents. Now therefore be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin formally requests that the provincial government to consider redistributing a portion of the land transfer tax collected on property transactions to municipalities. And be it resolved further that West Elgin Council calls on the federal government to allocate a percentage of the GST collected on property sales to municipalities. And be it further resolved that this redistribution of land transfer tax and GST should be structured to provide predictable and sustainable funding to municipalities, allowing for better long-term planning and investment in infrastructure projects that benefit local communities, thus ensuring that local governments receive a fair share of the revenue to address critical infrastructure needs. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Premier Doug Ford, the Ontario Minister of Finance, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, local members of Parliament, and members of provincial Parliament.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Doherty. Seconded. Councillor Denny. All in favour? It's carried. So we move on to 14 bylaws, 14.1, 2025-06, provisional bylaw, the Fleur and Drain.
The recommendation is that bylaw 2025-06, being a bylaw to provide for drainage works on the Fleur and Drain in the municipality of West Elgin, be read a first and second time.
Mover. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty. All in favour? It's carried. Thank you. And we're going to move towards a closed session.
The recommendation is the Council of Municipality of West Elgin hereby proceeds into closed session at 5:22 p.m. to discuss matters pursuant to the Municipal Act, Section 239-2A, being security of the property of the municipality or local board, Section 239-2C, being proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, Section 239-2D, labor relations or employee negotiations, and Section 239-2F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose.
Okay, a mover, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Denny, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Reporting from close. And
Reporting from closed at 5:54 p.m. Council received 4 items pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act. Council provided administrative direction to staff, including the following 2 recommendations to be read in open session. Recommendation 1 is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Robert Brown, planner, regarding the permanent closure of a portion of an unopened road allowance north of Fleming Line and sale to abutting landowners, and that West Elgin Council declare the municipally owned lands described as road allowance between concession 1 WD and concession BF WD in part of lots 9 and 10 and shown on figure 1 as surplus to the needs of the municipality, and undertake the required protocol to sell the subject lands to the abutting owners.
okay, mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Recommendation number 2 is that West Elgin Council hereby receives the report from Mbadura, Manager of Corporate Services, Treasurer, regarding 2025 cyber insurance renewal as presented, and that West Elgin Council authorizes staff to proceed with the renewal of the 2025 cyber insurance premium with CFC Underwriting Limited in the amount of $20,000 plus applicable taxes.
Mover, please. Councillor Denny, seconded. Councillor Doherty, All in favour? It's carried. Confirming bylaw?
That bylaw 2025-07, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council held on January 23rd, 2025, be read a first, second, third, and final time.
Move it, please. Deputy Mayor Tellier, seconded. Councillor Doherty? All in favour? Carried. Adjournment.
That the Council of the Municipality of West Elgin hereby adjourn at 5:56 PM to meet again at 5 o'clock PM on Thursday, February 13th, 2025, or at the call of the chair.
Move it, please. Councillor Doherty, seconded. Councillor Denning, all in favour? That's carried. Thank you.